I've been looking at the Gospel of John, and in the 11th chapter we have the story of Jesus raising Lazarus back to life. And in the beginning of the chapter we have that Mary and Martha send a message to Jesus to tell him that Lazarus, his friend, is very ill and would he please come. And we have Jesus deciding not to go straight away. And it's a very difficult thing to understand. He loved Lazarus. That's in the words of Mary and Martha. And he wanted to be with his friends. That's what friends do. You're there for them. But he stays where he is and waits for God's timing. And he waited so that he could fulfill the plans and the timing of God, even though this was difficult. And even though he knew that his friends might question whether he really loved them, whether he really was for them. What kind of a friend was he when they were in their deepest need and he didn't turn up? He had to carry the weight of that, knowing that he might be misunderstood in order to follow, in obedience, God's timing. And it may be that there are things in your life where you are pursuing what God has asked you to do and you're risking being misunderstood or your motives are being misinterpreted. But we know that in this decision, God was honoured and glorified, and the most magnificent thing happened. We read how when Jesus comes to Bethany, Martha and Mary, who are grieving because their brother has died, Martha hears that Jesus is there and comes running to meet him. And she says, "If only you had come sooner." And she says, if you were to ask God anything. And she's expressing belief and trust in Jesus. But she's expressing an if only. And then we read how Jesus responds. And his response to her is that I am the resurrection and the life. His response to Martha's question, if only, to her cry from the heart, if only things were different, is a statement about who he is. And it reflects an earlier verse when Jesus is talking to his disciples about the decision of when to go to Martha and Mary and Lazarus who is ill. And he says, now you have another opportunity to see who I am so that you will learn to trust in me. And the thing that hit me about this is that our trust is based on who he is. Our trust is not based on what he does, but on who he is. Just as I can have an issue or a problem or I need something, and I can just call to Andrew and I know that he will respond, because that is who he is. I know that he is loving and kind and compassionate. So in the same way, we trust in Jesus because we know who he is. And I love the fact that Jesus' response to this question is very clear in its answer. That our questioning is met with the truth of who Jesus is. I am the resurrection and the life. And later on in the chapter, just as Jesus is going to raise Lazarus back to life, and he has told them to move the stone from in front of the tomb, and Martha, who is obviously quite pragmatic, says that the body will be decomposing by now. And Jesus responds to her and says, didn't I tell you that if you will believe in me, you will see God unveil his power. And it's as though the thing that he says there echoes what Martha says earlier. Martha says, if only you had been here, and yet if you will ask the Father. And here Jesus is saying, if you will believe, you will see God unveil his power. The two things parallel each other. And Jesus is taking Martha's trust in Jesus and who he is, and her trust that if Jesus had been in that situation, things would be different. And he is saying, take that belief, take that trust and apply it to now. What is there in my life? What is there in your life where you can say, if only Jesus had been there? And what is Jesus saying? Is he saying, if you will believe in me for this now, you will see God.